Good morning and welcome back to True-Moto-Resto. And today we're going to put the tracks on the Can-Am Commander. Yes, I know it's full of mud. It's a disgraceful sight. It's driving my OCD absolutely crazy, but at this time of year, you can't really wash them. And it's still the hunting season, so it's still back and forth through the bush and through the fields and everything else. So I'll unfortunately have to stay this way till spring, or until the snow knocks it off maybe. Alright, so we got everything into the garage here. So there's the Commander. As far as accessories on this is a Commander XT. It's got it's an 800 4-stroke in it, 800R. It's in camo. I have the flip-up windshield on it, so it's a 2-part windshield. It's got a windshield wiper, got a LED light bar for the front, got a rack on the front, soft doors, hard roof, soft rear window, and there's a bit of a rack there on the back. And then yeah, that's about it for accessories. And today we put these guys on. These are Apache 360 LTs. So these are the ones that are made by Can-Am for the Commander. And the LTs, I guess that means a long track. So the LTs are typically the ones that go on the side-by-sides, I think. And then the ones that are not LTs are the ones that you would put on a conventional single-seater ATV, that kind of thing. So bigger the machine, more weight, longer track. And these are a bit of a pain to put on. I put them on, I think, I've had them in 3 or 4 years, so I put them on 3 or 4 times. Taking them off doesn't take long, but putting them on is a huge pain in the ass. But I'll probably have to read the instructions again on how to do it, I think. So basically, this is the piece you can leave on all year round, but it actually is part of the kit for the tracks. So you basically end up having to loosen this off to get proper access to this hole here, to be able to mount the track rods here, this thing here, properly onto there. And we'll get to that right now. So that was a huge pain in the ass, as usual. So I've got the steering cable, so this just make sure you can't sort of over steer it and pull the tracks too far out to one side, I guess. This control arm is attached and bolted in. I still have to tighten this back down. I had to loosen it off to be able to position this properly. So that's going to get tightened up. And then the other thing that's always a pain is putting the lug nuts on this thing. You can, there's a couple at the top there that I've got access to that are on, but you actually have to rotate this thing so you can get the wrench through into here, which is a huge pain in the backside when these tracks are cold. So we'll get to that in a minute. Alright, so there's one side on. Wheel nuts are torqued. 66 foot-pounds, give or take 7. And this is now all torqued up. So now we'll move on to the other side. Hopefully that'll go a little bit easier now that I remember exactly what I'm supposed to do. Every year it seems to be a learning process. It really shouldn't be, but I guess when you only do it once in a while, that's what happens. There's the front tracks on. This is definitely one of those jobs where you really need to be in the mood to do it. You know the ones. Unfortunately, I find myself rarely, if never, in the mood. I just don't like putting these things on. It's just a huge pain in the neck. Fun once they're on, very useful when they're on, but my God, not a job I enjoy. So now we'll get on to the back ones. Fun wow. So on the rears, the stabilizer link, there's this block section here that basically has to fit inside there, and then there's a bolt hole over there as well that there's a bolt has to fit through, and you have to fish the nut inside the frame to get it all on. So yeah, this is another one that's a bit of a, well, it's never easy, this stuff, is it? Alright, sir, there is the rear one on. That wasn't too bad actually. It went a lot quicker, a lot more smoothly than the front. So the only, well, the fiddly part, I guess, is the most fiddly is getting the nut on the back side of this, because it's actually inside the frame. There's a little slot you have to stick your finger through to get it started, and then you can get a wrench through there to get it tightened up. Yeah, it's coming. One more to go. There we go. We're all done. I may need to look at tightening up the rear tracks a little bit. I got a little bit of sag there, but we'll see how that is once they get run. They've just been sitting all over the summer, so once I run it a bit, it might stop the sag a little. We'll see. But you can tell how much more ground clearance this thing has with the tracks on it, for sure. And then the thing you got to be careful of is when you're running in the deep snow and you maybe get a bit of a warmer snap and then it freezes again. What you don't want to have happen is like these things get completely packed with snow inside the idler wheels, the bogies here. These things get packed up. It gets packed in here with snow everywhere. It's just caked. So what I try to do is after I run it every time, I try to get as much of that snow out as I can. That way if it freezes up and gets hard, it's not going to lock up the tracks, and if you put power to it, it's not going to break anything with the ice in there. So just gotta kind of have to look after this stuff. Stuff isn't cheap. So and then I also in the springtime, when I take them off and put them away, I coat them in rust preventative spray as well, just to keep all the metal nice and black and no rust. So we'll put the rest of the tools away and we'll back this beast out. Here we are out in the sun. Now, one of the downsides to these, and especially when it's only like this amount of snow, is it's super rough, because obviously you've got no buoyancy, no suspension value from the big rubber tires that are on it in the summer. But these things ride like just rock. It's rock hard. You got a bit of suspension movement as you would normally, but it's a very rough ride until you get probably 10 centimeters of snow on the ground, and then it's pretty smooth. But and the other thing I find, just to reduce wear on the steering components, is I try not to dry steer this thing. It's a good way to wear out steering components if you dry steer it. So I try to make sure that I'm actually moving the machine forward or backwards before I start cranking on the steering wheel. It just kind of adds a bit of longevity to the machine if you treat it a bit better that way. And it's noisy inside too. I mean, I'm complaining non-stop today, it seems, but this thing is very noisy in the winter, because you're generally revving higher to get the same speed. And then once you have the doors on here and the back window, everything's enclosed. The engine is basically right there next to you, and so it's there's also a computer module that plugs into the ECU here, and it says, okay, the track mode is installed. So you have to kind of, otherwise your speed and everything is out of whack. So anyway, let's put this thing back in the barn. There we go. Hope you enjoyed a break from the bikes, and please like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.